Hello people on the internet, my name is Sarah. Today I'm going to be taking you through a tour of my Italian sketchbook tour. Ooh, so I studied abroad this last semester, and I brought around this little sketchbook with toned watercolor paper. I'll put the name on the screen, but I just took this puppy around, and this is my first time using like a tanned sketchbook for like taking around with me, and I really enjoyed it. Like, I really love this paper. It's beautiful watercolor paper, and I used a lot of my gouache in it and colored pencils. So I use Carbon Dash gouache, and then I use Prismacolor, but mostly Faber-Castell Polychromos colored pencils in here, which I'm testing right here. But yeah, I just took this around and I covered it with some stickers that I bought in Europe. This one's from Venice, Firenze, and Paris. I like how it looks like a suitcase with all the patches on it. Anyway, let's get started. So like I said, this is just like a tester page where I test all my materials, and I just wrote when I started and ended it. So I normally do a self-portrait on the first page, that's like my tradition, but I had one sketch here that I never finished, so I decided to paint over it, and I painted Pompeii instead. Pompeii was like my favorite thing I ever saw in all of Italy, and I love these poppies that they had. We went in springtime, and the weather was beautiful, and there's a ton of poppies blooming, so I wanted to paint that, and I love the ruins. I started this sketchbook on my flight to Paris, and on my flight to Paris, Lily Rose Depp was there, so I sketched her from Nosferatu, because I'm like, oh my god, I've never seen a like A-list celebrity in real life, so that was weird. But yeah, she was on my flight, so I just did a little sketch of her, and then I taped in various little mementos from my travels. So this is like wine I bought in the Paris airport. So this was the start of my spring break. My parents and I went out to this cafe, and I watched this video by Marco Bucci on how he does his plein air sketching, and I wanted to try out his techniques. I was really happy with this. This scene did not have that many pigeons, but my mom thought it needed something, and I liked her idea of adding pigeons, so that's what I added. And I just really like this like kind of dreamy, like dull, but like lively vibe that Paris has, so I tried to capture that here. Like, you know, I just felt like I was in a ratatouille. But I was really trying to get better about like capturing detail and architecture, because I'm kind of bad at perspective. So that was sort of my main goal when I was in Italy, was just to get more comfortable drawing city scenes and architecture. And this was like a great step in that direction. I really liked how faded everything is, and I liked the amount of detail I was able to capture in like an hour. This was a drawing I did of Miss Venus Willendorf after I went to the Louvre. These are just random things I stuck in. We went on a food tour, and I think we had this really delicious cheese, so I stuck in the little sticker from the cheese. Next, after Paris, we went to Venice, and I sat at a cafe while my parents took a nap, and I did this painting. I had a little glass of wine, and I chatted it up with the waiters. It was a lot of fun. It was raining, people were going everywhere with their umbrellas. I just didn't feel like drawing the canal. I just wanted to sit down and like draw this little square. This was the canal, that picture I took from a bridge. I really love this hospital. They did a really beautiful hospital. And I wanted to just do something like a mini version of like what my main paintings look like, which is like, I usually play with like texture and pattern, so especially in like skies. So I added this little stained glass pattern to my sky, and I like how this water came out. Venice was kind of dreary the whole time I was there. So I've changed the way I sketch, where I don't do as much planning or like loose sketching in here, and I do it more in like, I have a messy sketchbook and a nice sketchbook, but back then I just didn't care, so I just put stuff in here anyway. These are planning for different pieces I made. This is planning for different jewelry I made for my jewelry class. I ended up making this one of the Venus of Willendorf. This is me talking about my experience over spring break. One of my classes had an assignment where we had to like make a commonplace book, and we had to compile all of our thoughts and feelings on Italy, so I just wrote in here about Italy, about a lot for that class. This is one of my favorite paintings in the sketchbook. I just think I really successfully hit all the things I wanted to between the light and the cool, and like this, I really love the shapes of these buildings, this like strong architecture that it has, and I love these mopeds. Like, I love drawing like organic things, so I really struggle with like cars and stuff, but I think I got a really nice amount of detail where, like, you know, you can tell what these are, but like your main focus stays up here, which is what I wanted. This is just a little drawing I did of a church, and then this is just a ticket I had from a museum. I think this was in Venice. This was the day I went to Pisa, and I didn't feel like sketching the tower. I don't know why. I sat at a cafe and did this instead. I'm not in love with it, but it's fine. I'm much happier with this one. I like the cools, and I like these weird pink windows. This was a self-portrait I did, and I like this idea of like having like all pink eyeballs, like bright pink eyeballs, but I kind of jacked it up with these like clown lashes. But I was just having fun and hanging out with friends, and I redid this on the next page, and I like it better. This was for a class. We went to a museum, so I just sketched one of the statues there. This is like a much better version of that concept I was talking about, where I wanted my eyes to be like sort of like rubies almost, and I really like this one. This is a statue of the at the PT Palace. This is just a random gemstone and some sparkles. This is when I took a day trip to Castiglioncello, which is one of my favorite spots in Italy. It's a little beach town in Tuscany, and they have like a ton of castles littered everywhere, and they have like a beautiful little sea. But me and my friend sat on this dock, and we ate strawberries, drank wine, and there's like a group of Italian boys fishing. And every time they caught like a little fish, we'd all like cheer them on, and it was really funny. But yeah, just listened to music and hung out and painted. This was also on that same dock. There's like a castle sticking out, and then I made this one later. This is like a picture I took of me walking back from the train station. I think I made this one on the train actually, and I like this power line. I just like the shape this one has, and I like this like waviness. I got a lot more illustrative and like fun with like my architecture and my plants and like cartoony, just because I really liked stylizing things. I kind of got like the hang of things, and I felt like more comfortable. This is one of my favorite drawings in here. It's a colored pencil sketch I made of this little church that's like abandoned in the mountains in Italy. We went on a field trip to like this mountain town in the Dolomites, and I sketched that. This is me just playing around with metallic watercolors and taking notes for my jewelry class. This is one of my favorite pages in here. It's just a really simple sketch of my kitchen table with some flowers on it and some oranges. I really like how this vase came out. I just think it has a nice atmosphere. This is another sketch I did from that trip with the mountains. I just really liked how much it reminded me of home in Colorado, but the mountains are like weirdly shaped in Europe, where I feel like in America they're very flat, or at least my Rocky Mountains are. And like Italy, they're like so jagged and like tall. It's very strange. Especially in Switzerland, if you get more towards like the Alps. I wrote about it here, but basically like all the cashiers to me were rude, and like shopping always felt like a humiliation sport. So, but there's this one lady who, when I spoke to people in Italian, they would reply back to me in English. Like, I feel like they would always treat me like I was stupid. And I was like, okay. Which like I get it. You're working retail, and you have to deal with a bunch of dumbass American tourists. But I am speaking Italian to you, so I was kind of mad whenever they'd be rude to me. But anyway, there was this one lady who spoke English to me, but she didn't do it in a rude way. I think she just wanted to practice her English. I mean, I don't know. Maybe she hated me, and she just... But anyway, I liked her dog. Her dog would always sit outside the store and sit on the corner, and I just loved her. She was super sweet. And I'd always like grocery shopping and petting her. So she was like my dog away from dog, and I wrote about it. This is a drawing I did of my neighborhood. There's like this little car that goes around Florence you can book a tour with, so I just drew it when I was just turning down a street. I hung out with my friend, and he cooked me eggs, and then I drew this of his balcony, because I just love the way that the clothes were like draping in the afternoon light. I just love the look of clothes on clotheslines, even though I hated having to use it because none of my clothes were ever dry. I think it only works really well in like summer, but in winter when it's raining all the time, oh my god, my clothes were never wet. I felt like I smelled like mildew everywhere. That was really fun. I missed a dryer, but the look of like clothes hanging from clotheslines was really inspiring to me, and it was really pretty. This is a girl in my class I just thought was pretty, so I sketched her. These are drawings of my friends. This is my father. This is just like a weird drawing, a weird picture that I thought was funny, so I painted it. So this is what it looks like, I swear. This is like a ticket, I think, from Venice. I went on a little coffee date at Ponte Vecchio, so we sat and we people watched, and I sketched the bridge behind these arches. This was a statue from the PT Palace. From one of my classes, I had to do like an exploration of a neighborhood, so I chose Santissima Annunziata. It was like this church square, and they had this building, so I actually studied this building in high school. It's like one of the first orphanages in like all of Europe, so that's cool. And I had an exhibition where I exhibited, oh my god, the sketchbook there, and that was really cool. So I did this little sketch in the square, and then I wrote about it. This was during Pompeii, so Pompeii was probably my favorite part of this whole trip. Oh my god, I had a ball in Pompeii. It was so much fun. So after we started the trip, we went to this cafe for like a drink, and I got an espresso martini, and I sketched this little head. They have a ton of these heads around southern Italy, so I like the ceramics and the decoration. I just love southern Italy. Southern Italy has a way better vibe than northern Italy where I lived, so I was really excited. And then we went back to our Airbnb, and we drank Coronas and smoked some Marlboros. Don't smoke. I only smoked in Europe occasionally, because I was like, fuck it, I'm in Europe. This is the view from our Airbnb. It was this gorgeous view. Oh my god, it was a rooftop. The sun was setting, and I just painted this while the sun set, and I was waiting for my other friends to arrive. And then this was the next day. I sketched some of like the tiles that our Airbnb had, although it got a little water damage, sadly. This is my friend. I did this quick sketch at the train station. We went swimming, but I was cold, so I didn't want to swim all that much, so I sketched this on the beach instead. And I really like this one. I like this like scribbling I did of the colored pencils, and I like the different color variation I got with these like pink and orange like neon watercolor or colored pencils, and I just like how they layer on top of other colors. This is a sketch of me walking down the beach holding a Diet Coke because I like this picture. This is where we went to a little lemon farm, and I just sketched this with a pen, and they had a little cat there, and then I later sketched this lemon just to fill up the space. But this was like so beautiful. The food was low-key not that good, but this was like in one of the best like scenic locations I've ever been in Italy, and it was a lot of fun, and they had a lot of cats, and they were really nice. So I felt bad that I didn't enjoy the food, but like my friends, I got like a spicy pasta, which at least had oil on it. It was not great, but you know, it was okay. And then my friends ordered like a lemon spaghetti or whatever, and they came out with like plain spaghetti with like lemon juice squirted on it, and that's it. And we're like, is there no cream or like sauce or cheese or something? And they were like, nope. So we just ate our spaghetti lemon. But we also got like lemon desserts, and the lemon desserts were amazing. But like I said, everyone there was really nice. And it was a really fun time. This is one of my favorite days. This was at Pompeii. These are like the ruins in the main square, and I just talked about how much I loved Pompeii. Pompeii was so beautiful. It was one of my favorite places in Italy. After I got back to Florence, I went to the Boboli Gardens and I did a sketch of this fountain. This was me talking about my thoughts about being an American in Italy. This is another drawing I did of southern Italy. I just liked the shape of these buildings, and I liked the clothing hanging from the windows. This is a drawing I did of my neighbor David from Life, and I just talked about what it's like living in my neighborhood because I live right off of the Uffizi Gallery. It kind of sucked, but that's okay. I took myself back to Castelioncello because it's my favorite spot. So I just sat by the beach and I did these little sketches, and then I wrote about my time, and then I did this other sketch by the beach where I just walked around, and then I drew my keys because I was collecting different keychains and keys, and I just wrote about like how it is to open doors in Italy because they're like hunkin', dude. They're massive. They have 800 locks. You have to like shove them. They're super weird. But anyway, so I just wrote about my collection of keys for my different doors. Oopsie. This is the little drawing I did of the castle, like closer up. I sat up by the square and did a little sketch of it. I wanted to play around with like drawing the foliage in more fun and interesting ways, and I just had a lot of fun like playing with the shapes. This is when I went to Rome on a day trip. I hiked all the way up to the Colosseum, but I like didn't really feel like going in because you need a reservation. I just wanted to show up. I showed up for Rome. I ate carbonara and I left. You know what I mean? So I went to the Colosseum and I got gelato, and then I went all the way up to this hill, like behind this architecture museum, and I sat at their back porch steps. There's another guy there, and it's like, oh god, please don't be creepy. I don't want to be trapped with a creepy guy. But then I saw he was also sketching, so we just hung out and painted together. He was a German guy. He was nice. And then at the bottom, they have like a bunch of ruins and trees, so I sketched those really quickly. Me and my friend went to play pool against some random Italian men, and we beat them, and I didn't make a single shot. This is a little self-portrait I did of a flower in my hair to finish the sketchbook off, because if I'm not going to start the sketchbook with a self-portrait, at least I can end it. This is my little card I got from exhibiting this sketchbook in Florence, and then this is a little sticker I got from Germany. And that was one of my sketchbooks from Italy. If you'd like to see more, I do have another one. She's not as pretty, but she's still interesting. She's still got some good pages in here. I did a lot more experimenting in this one, but the paper's not as good, so like the paintings are like a bit duller and like, but I still got some nice stuff in here. I like this page. This is my favorite page in here. But if you'd like to see a full tour of this one, let me know. I have another one that's like halfway done that I'm still working on over the summer, although I have not picked that up recently, so I should get back into that. But anyway, let me know what you think. Let me know which one was your favorite page or favorite couple of pages. I'll see you guys later. Don't forget to like and subscribe and comment down below. Really helps my channel. I'm a really tiny channel, so every little bit helps and counts. You can follow my Instagram or any other of my various social medias. I'm at Sketchbook Sarah on literally everything on the internet. Okay, bye!